He traded in his reliable 2003 Toyota and all his savings to get a loan at 14% for 72 months. His monthly payment is now $1,966, and insurance is $573. He also still has student loans, which are significant. I kept telling him $115 left over monthly wasn't enough. I am very annoyed. He did not even speak to me about it. We had so many discussions about moving in together, getting married, and then he goes and purchases a truck $2,000 more than his yearly salary. If you are asking how can a truck be $87,000, that is the price you get when you put every addition you want on it. He showed me the truck expecting me to be excited, and I was livid. When he bought this truck, we were only a month from moving in together. We got into a bad argument where he told me it was his money and he could do whatever he wanted with it. So I said fine, and I told him I am not comfortable moving in with him anymore. I asked my landlord if my apartment was still available and if I could renew my lease, and they said yes. Now my boyfriend is saying he cannot afford his place and his truck. I do not feel bad. You should have thought of that before buying something so expensive without talking to your girlfriend of 2 years. I have had some of his friends' girlfriends reach out to me and say I should support him, and one even say that I am not loyal, and this shows I would not support him if we were married since I run away when finances get bad. That is not correct. He did not lose his job or get hurt. He bought an expensive item without discussing it. I have been trying to get him to return the truck because it is already affecting his finances badly. He has only had this truck for 2 weeks, and he is worried that in the next month or two, he will not be able to cover all the expenses he usually has. This past weekend, we had another argument, and I think our relationship is going to end. I am not helping him pay for this truck, and I am not moving in with him. I have asked for a break and will be thinking about what to do. Edit. I appreciate the different opinions everyone has given me. I have a lot to think about. To answer 2 questions, no, he does not need the truck. He works from home, and if he has to check in at work, he has an office. Also, his friends and their girlfriends know about this issue because he asked for their views when we went to a get-together last week. Only 2 girlfriends reached out to me to tell me I was not being supportive. The others have minded their business. Comment 1. Good job recognizing a bad situation when you see one. This dude fully expected you to supplement his lifestyle after moving in together. All his money would have gone to paying that truck, leaving you stuck with the lion's share of the bills. And that is why he is panicking now. Stay in your own apartment, OP. Comment 2. You were right to put yourself first. He is going to end up drowning in debt. At least you will not be there to see it. Would imagine he thought he could make you take the majority of rent and household expenses while he just put money in his truck. Comment 3. The minute he was expecting you to help finance his life, it ceased to be his money. You absolutely did the right thing. That man was going to use you to pay for his expensive truck. Ask your friends' girlfriends if they want to give up their life to finance his mistakes, because you sure as hell will not. And should not. It will only get worse if you enable him. He would be coming home with a Ferrari next. Update. Yes, so I broke up with him mainly because I realized we are not financially compatible. Before I go into what happened, I do want to say something. I understand we were not married, but we were both moving together into a new place and had several discussions about this move and our plans for the future, including marriage. For the people private messaging me saying it is his money and he can do whatever he wants, or you are only 2 years into a relationship, you are not a wife. I know that, and I have never asked what is in his bank account or told him what to do financially. I am aware it is his money, but I also know his financial situation, and he was making decisions without my input that, if we were to stay together, would not only affect him but also our relationship and our financial situation for years to come. I will die on this hill. This is not okay, and if it is okay for you, that is fine, but for me, if we make a financial plan and you make a huge decision without me, I will not be okay with it, and that is a big reason why I backed out of moving into a new apartment with him. I would have never made a decision like this without his input at all. The main reason why we decided to move in together was to take the next step in our relationship, but also to pay down our debts. I now have $22,000 debt from student loans and a car. When I met him, though, it was around $60,000, and I was basically living on credit cards. Within the first couple of months of us dating, I saw how hard he worked, and with a salary at $85,000, He was making huge progress in paying off his loans and credit cards. On my end, at the time, I was only making $50,000. I honestly saw his work ethic and was like, wow, and got serious about my debt. I got a second part-time job where I was making $32,000 a year, bringing my salary to $82,000. I did that so that I could pay off my debts faster, but also so that we could be on equal footing when we moved in together and he did not have to pay significantly more in living expenses than me when he had more debt. We did a complete budget months before we moved in together and realized that we would each have $700 extra a month to put towards our own individual budgets. This is why the purchase of this truck was so surprising to me. We had planned this move for months. We had a budget and he destroyed that plan with the truck. If he wanted a new car, there are plenty of cars he could have gotten that would have fit into the $700 monthly surplus he had. Anyway, for the past few days before we broke up, he tried to show me that this truck was a good financial purchase and we could still move in together. He told me that he had actually budgeted for this and could show me how he could afford this. I wanted to hear him out, so I went to his place and he had two budgets. He said he had been thinking of getting this truck for some time and he had worked out a budget beforehand. He showed me the first budget, and after his truck, insurance, expenses, and his debts, he was left with $115 for the month. I noticed with the first budget, he did not include groceries, his hobbies, going out, or even gas for his car. I asked him how $115 was enough to live off of for an entire month. I asked him how he could afford all of this and his truck, and if he planned to give up some things. He said no, he did not plan to give up anything and that he could make everything work in his budget. I asked him what if he had an emergency or needed gas for his truck, and he just kept saying he would work it out without explaining how. After I saw the first budget, I asked to see the documents for the car, and that is how I found out the truck price was $95,000 total after taxes, registration, and fees. He traded in his reliable 2003 Toyota and all his savings to get a loan at 14% for 72 months. His monthly payment is now $1,966 and insurance is $573. He also still has student loans, which are significant. I kept telling him $115 left over monthly was not enough. That is when he showed me his second budget, which had a combined higher monthly income. I asked him if he was getting a second job, and he said due to his first job relying on him to be on call, he could not. I asked where the income was coming from, and this man said, well, you are getting a raise soon. I froze because I had mentioned this raise once months ago. My first job is my career job, and I work in a field where when you hit certain milestones, you get a pay bump. In September, if my raise is approved, I will go from $50,000 to $80,000, and with my second job, my total yearly income will be $112,000. But getting the raise is not a guarantee. You have to meet certain criteria, and if you do not, you have to wait 3 months before trying again. When he said that, I was quiet, and then I said, so you planned a budget that included additional income that I would not get for at least 6 months and income that I might not even get in September. He said when I got my raise, the ratio of what he would pay would decrease and he would have more disposable income. I asked him why it was okay for him to plan budgets with my income, but yet I had no say in how he spent his. He could not answer that. I told him I had no issue with paying more bills if I got a raise, but the fact that he banked on that, did not discuss it, and now expects me to be okay with this is ridiculous. I also said there is no way I would not be paying more with the first budget because he would not have been able to survive on $115. I told him he did not communicate, and this is on him because he made huge financial plans without discussing anything. Finally, I told him I would never have done any of this without going to him first because I thought we were a team that was building something. I ended things the next day, and he has been trying to reach out, but I am not interested. He has financially crippled himself with this truck. If with my income now he could barely make it, he surely is not making it on his own. I really hope that things work out for him and he is able to keep his truck and recover, but I am not paying the consequences for such a massive financial mistake that is going to hugely affect him for years to come. If I were to stay, this financial decision affects me as well and would continue to affect both of us for years. Again, this is different from becoming ill or losing a job. He chose this and refuses to budge and fix it. I now realize we are not financially compatible, and that is okay, and I wish him the best. Comment 1. I have to ask, how are you handling this with so much grace? I would be upset if my ex, who I was so emotionally invested in, pulled this on me. It is not just that he made an irresponsible decision, it is the fact that he thought he could leech off you and your money to pay it, and somehow blindside you to get away with that. You do not badmouth him a single time and did the right thing immediately, break up, and have already accepted that you both are incompatible. I am in awe of how decisive and yet non-aggressive you were. I wish I could be that way. OP, to answer your question about why I am not badmouthing him, it is because I am sad. I am sad about what he did to himself and that I had to leave because he is not seeing how bad this is. I am sad that just a few months ago, I was planning us living together and a life, and now that is gone. Most of all, I am sad for him. He was doing so well and he rubbed off on me immensely in terms of paying off debt and watching your spending. I am sad that he threw away all his hard work. Dumping on him even more is not worth it because when he realizes this mistake, it will be so bad for him. I do not see a point to do it, but I am not judging anyone who would in these circumstances. Comment 2, you are very smart. I have a wife like you and we are going to retire comfortably because of that. Comment 3, I am so proud of you. I really wish more young women were as firm in their boundaries and as wise about finances as you are. Mind you, this does not make him a bad person, but it does give you an insight into what the future would be like with him.